Welcome to a special edition of Meet the Leaders. I'm Dara Wells, and we are coming to you from the Capitol building in Charleston, West Virginia. We are thrilled to have with us Delegate Tim Miley, who is House Minority Leader, former Speaker of the House, and welcome to the program.
Well, thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Now, there's a lot going on in your state, and I know that you have some real concerns about certain issues. So what would you say is first and foremost as you head into pretty soon a new session?
Sure. Everybody who's elected to office wants to talk about job creation, and that sounds great.
Right.
And that's a real need we have in our state, but no one really talks beyond that. They just speak in talking points. And I think if we really want to address the creation of jobs in West Virginia, we have to start with our workforce preparedness issues that we have here. We have a workforce that is not prepared to fill jobs even if they were to come. And believe me, I think, and I've heard, that employers who are looking to come to West Virginia, one of the criteria they consider before they come is, do we have the workforce to fill the jobs that we would otherwise bring?
Now, are you talking about job skills and training?
Well, when I say workforce preparedness, I mean education and job skills and training,
Right.
Motivation to work, and or being drug-free to be able to work, or a combination of any of those factors. I'm not so sure any of them exist exclusively from the other
Right,
factors. I
right.
think they're all factors that we are struggling with currently in our state. But let's start with education. There's no question that the data shows that the more education you get, the more your lifetime earnings will be, and the better able you will be to provide for your family. And in West Virginia, we are one of the lowest states with regard to people going beyond high school and completing a four-year college degree. Now, to be clear, I don't think that's the right path for everybody.
Right.
For a number of different reasons, it's not the appropriate path to expect someone in a family to go from high school to college and perhaps graduate school. That's appropriate for some families, not appropriate for a number of different reasons for others.
Right.
But what we must begin to do is to value and prioritize within our families education. And the education I'm referring to is continual lifetime learning that extends beyond high school. So that, to me, that includes not just a four-year college path, but it could include technical and community colleges, or a lot of these other, I'll call them alternative educational programs, such as the Robert C. Byrd Institute and some of these other types of programs where you go for 6 or 9 months and learn a unique skill that's needed out there in our local economy.
Right. I mean, we need car mechanics, and
That's
we
right,
need
that's right.
plumbers. Not everybody is going to be a college professor.
Well, that's
Or
right.
an attorney.
That's
or-
right. And quite frankly, it's those trades type of jobs that can't be outsourced. You can outsource almost any type
Oh,
of
that's
profession.
true.
Well,
That's
yeah, you
right.
can
Yeah,
outsource
yeah,
almost
it's
any type
true.
of professional service.
Sure.
You can outsource legal services. They're done all the time online. LegalZoom, for example. It's the trades that you can't outsource and that we sometimes overlook when we're having our kids go through our public education system, and perhaps not value them as much as we do the kids that we want to see going to four-year colleges. But I think to that point, I think we also do a poor job of teaching entrepreneurship in schools. Because let's say someone likes working with their hands, they're well suited and have a desire to go become an auto mechanic or an electrician or welder. And while yes, they can make good livings being employed by somebody else, perhaps that student can learn some entrepreneurial skills while in school and work as a welder for 4 or 5 years for somebody else, and then perhaps open their own welding business and employ 8 or 10 welders beneath them, and,
Right,
and all of a sudden they grow a business here in West Virginia. So I think we fail in many regards to identify the need to develop entrepreneurs in school.
Do you think it's a political situation where people maybe don't want to rock boats or make their constituents unhappy by bringing up these issues?
No. No, I think we focus on the wrong issues down here. We spend more time on gun bills and abortion bills than other bills that I think will actually move our state forward.
In a more meaningful way.
Right, in a more meaningful way. Those issues are important to a lot of people
Sure.
for different reasons. They're
Right.
important to everyone in this capital for various reasons. They just are. Those issues are. But I guess my point is, I don't think we do enough as a state to have a unifying message of valuing education, having expectations within the families for those kids to succeed in the educational systems that we have here. And quite frankly, I don't think we have done yet what I believe we need to do in our public education system, and that is, while we have those students for those 8 to 10 hours a day, we probably need to bring into those school systems more counselors, more psychologists, more nurses, and expect more from those students while we have the ability to influence them during those 8 to 10 hours. Let me share this one anecdotal story with you.
Sure.
It's not my idea. It was brought to my attention by a fellow delegate, former retired school teacher.
Okay.
He said, Tim, why don't we change the law that prohibits students from being on sports teams if they can't maintain a 2.0? I'm like, well, what do you mean? Tell me more. He said, look, right now under the WVSSAC rules, if you don't maintain a 2.0, you can't be on the sports teams. And the theory is, because you can't keep your grades up, you need not to be distracted by athletics.
Yeah, you need the time to study.
Right.
Rather than being on the field.
Right, but do we really think those kids are going to go home and study?
No.
Well, no, of course not.
No.
Those are the kids we probably need to be forced to be on a team that has peers to be accountable to, coaches as mentors, and quite frankly, something fun to be in school for. Now, it may not be the varsity team, but maybe we need to bring in more people in schools to be coaches and maybe develop a very robust intramural athletic system in schools. And that's just something very small and minor that we might need to look into, a little alternative outside the box thinking here, because we're losing these kids that are
Yes.
dropping out of school, and we're losing track.
You know, I'm really glad you brought this up, Tim, because for me it wasn't sports, it was music, it was the arts. And I hear the argument, well, you know, we don't have enough money in the budget, so let's get rid of music and art classes because that's not so necessary.
Right.
Well, for someone like me, it was vital because
Right.
that's the only place I really felt comfortable, and it kept me in school, frankly.
You have to have something that interests these students to stay in school beyond just the typical academic subjects, I think. I mean, because they can get, let's face it, they can get a lot of that online. But if you have other reasons for them to come to school and enjoy coming to school, attendance will go up, likelihood of success will go up. And you have to think that a lot of these students are being raised in homes where both parents aren't there, if either parent is there,
Right,
because
good
many are being
point.
raised now by their grandparents.
Oh, what, because of the opioid situation?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's another tough
Yeah,
one.
that number is going up. The foster care system is out of control here in our state because so many kids are being taken from their homes in large part due to the opioid problem. And the likelihood of success of those foster kids is very low.
Yeah, it's diminished.
Yeah, sure.
We got probably 30 seconds left. I think I need another interview with you. But in the meantime,
Sure.
just some closing thoughts about what you'd like to see going forward as you start the new session?
Well, I think we need to do a much better job of workforce development. I just left a meeting, which is why I was late coming here, that talked
You're forgiven.
Oh, thank you. That talked about a lot of the money that's coming into our state. We consistently, year after year, talk about a lack of workforce preparedness and a developed workforce, but I'm not so sure I've seen a plan to develop that workforce. We talk about it. I'm not so sure I've seen a plan that is to develop it and one that people can be held accountable to implementing it.
Assignment for the coming year.
Yeah.
Okay, Tim Miley, what a pleasure to talk to you.
Well, thank you. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you as well, and nice meeting you too. We will be back soon on Meet the Leaders. I'm Dara Wells. Thanks for joining us.